I'm excited for this one. I don't often do Q&As on my channel, so I feel like whenever I do them, I want them to be fun and I want them to be juicy and just interesting. As interesting as I can make myself seem, which hopefully is enough. That is kind of funny. Like if you break it down, like the whole premise of a Q&A is just me talking about myself, which believe it or not is kind of an awkward thing for me to do. And I do have a horrible memory. So the fun thing about the Q&A is that it does jog things for me that I otherwise probably wouldn't have remembered. We have a lot of juice, a lot of tea to get into. Who says juice? We need to start. Let's just start with some spice. Let's do it. From Justina, is there any video that you regret posting? Believe it or not, so many. So many. I would say out of like the 200 plus videos that I have public on my channel, I have at least 20 to 40 that are now privated that just don't embody who I am, do not reflect my values anymore or my beliefs or my reputation on my channel. I have a full video on this coming soon, if it hasn't been released already by this point. I think the weird thing about the internet is that it encapsulates who you are in like one given moment. So whether that be you're posting something on Instagram or you're editing a video of yourself and you're posting it to YouTube, you're encapsulated in that one little moment in time. Racy, could you please slide down? So my cam, thank you. It's hard because you as an audience member might still think that I believe all of those things that I used to share and talk about if I haven't, you know, continually debunked them. The main just being like, I think early on I was just naive and like having fun with my channel, and I would post a lot of like quick transformation videos, and that now bothers me a lot. The fact that it can be shown to a very impressionable audience makes me almost like sick to my tummy, because I don't want anybody to ever see a video where they would get the wrong impression or, God forbid, like elicit a dangerous act or something. Again, I'll get into this more in my other video, but of course, I mean, we all have little regrets in our lives. So yes, of course, I do have videos that I regret posting. I also post a lot, so there's bound to be some bad apples in the bunch. This is actually a great question from Raquel. Do you have any tips for grip strength, like holding things? What else would that mean, Taylor? I want to deadlift, but I have weak hands. A couple of like really simple things. One, you can start your workouts with dead hangs, which is essentially when you're grabbing onto the pull-up bar and you just hang there for as long as you can, probably before falling down. It's one of those things that you think about and you're like, why would that be hard? But then you go and do it and you can barely hold for 30 seconds. That's tough, but that will absolutely improve your grip strength. And also farmer's carries are another great way to improve your grip strength, which is basically like a wonderful functional movement. You think about unloading your groceries and taking them from your car up to your apartment. You're grabbing your groceries like this, you know, that's you going up to your apartment with your groceries. And when we work on those functional movements in the gym, then we can prevent any injuries that might come down the line or just make ourselves stronger, which is awesome. So when you're doing a farmer's carry, that's essentially what you're embodying, and then you can work on not only some incredible core work, but also increasing your grip strength. This is actually a cute question from Veronica. Where does your love for classical music come from? So I do love classical music, but probably not as much as my videos make it seem. I just love using classical music as my background. I think it adds like a little bit of kind of spunk in a way. I think it can also add like a little bit of comedic value. And I've never been a fan of like the kind of maybe more like lo-fi vibes that some like vlogs will have. I like it for other people, but I never felt like it matched with my personality. So I just love to have fun with the audio library on YouTube, in the YouTube studio. I don't know, like it can kind of like put a smile on your face. And a lot of times classical music is like embedded in us, whether or not we realize it. Like a certain song you might know from, let's say, the Nutcracker. And then I throw it into a video and all of a sudden like you're getting flashbacks, you're getting memories. And it was just because like I snuck it into the background, you know? So it's kind of like a fun experience for both of us where we're constantly getting wonderful memories from sounds and music. And I love that. And I love that part of classical music, not to mention it's gorgeous. Okay, great question. Can you talk about you and your Enneagram type? Does anyone remember when I finally figured out what my Enneagram was? I want to say this was like maybe a year and a half ago or so. And it was all I talked about in like every video. And then of course, like have barely mentioned it since. In school, we did like a lot of the personality type testing. I was in a leadership program and we would do like our Myers-Briggs test, and we did the Strengths Finder or Strengths Quest. I think it's called Strengths Finder. We did a whole lot of those testings, but I never really learned about the Enneagram. I want to say it's very embodied in a lot of Christian schooling. That's basically where I learned about it from, because my best friend went to a Christian school. So a lot of people have like very mixed opinions on any kind of personality-based testing. But what I love about, like, let's say the Strengths Finder, for example, is that it brings out some of the best qualities in you, but actually with the Enneagram, it highlights more of the things that maybe we want to work on with ourselves, and also helps you understand more about yourself. I am an Enneagram 9, which is basically a peacemaker. I believe that's the word. And I think the thing about Enneagram 9s is that you can come off as quite passive because you're constantly wanting to make peace with people and avoid confrontation basically at all costs. And also, like, the flip side of that is you can come off as quite lazy. But I actually think, like, once I recognized that I am an Enneagram 9, it helped me like accept a lot of things about myself that maybe I would have shied away from, and help me understand them. And then also help me understand like some of my best friend's strengths and weaknesses, and how we can kind of work on our friendship based on those things. So it's not like a one size fits all. You're not perfectly going to blend into this Enneagram type. I've never been one to lean into like the self-help kind of books sort of thing, but I do think the Enneagram is a very small little bit of that. And it's helped me just learn so much about how I deal with conflict, and maybe also how others perceive me, and ways that I can, you know, like be a better communicator or step up to the plate more and make sure that my pacifism isn't seen as me being passive. Pacifism, not passive. This is a question from Rosie. Do you manage all of your accounts completely solo? I believe she would probably mean for social media. So for the most part, yes. The only account that I have help from or help with is the Step Into 22 Instagram account. My two friends, Paige and Olivia, have helped me with that account, have helped me tremendously. But Step Into 22 is kind of like a seasonal thing. When I did have my Twisty Pod Instagram for the podcast, I also had an intern that worked for me for maybe 2 to 3 months or so. And that was really wonderful because I just needed help with like graphics and things. But everything else, yes, I do by myself. I think I'm too particular to let things like be given to somebody else, but I would never like shy away from that opportunity if it was given to me, because I think one of the best things that I've learned is that you should work with people that are smarter than yourself, and to not always assume that like I know best. I know what I want and I know how I love to communicate with you all, but that doesn't mean like I'm this perfect marketing PR girl, you know? PR girlies. Most embarrassing experience in the gym. I have learned to lean into my embarrassing moments. Like, I used to care so much about how much I would sweat. Like, I sweat a lot in my crotch, and I used to be so embarrassed by it, but now like I can't help it. So what the heck am I gonna do about it? Like, I'm gonna continue to be embarrassed every time I go to the gym? There's no way. Especially if I'm working on a new skill, like I'll fall on my butt constantly, time and time again. When I was working on my pistol squats, I would fall. But I just like learned to laugh, because it is also like a playful thing. I'm enjoying myself, I'm having fun. So why freak the heck out and feel so embarrassed? But that's taken time. Like, we've done that over years and years and years. I can think of 2 like very prominent embarrassing stories. The first was not even actually at the gym, but fitness related. When I was trying out for my cheerleading team, basically when I was in the 8th grade, I was needing so much development in my skills. I'd only ever been on all-star teams. So all-star primarily does all of their practices and all of their competitions on springs. But when I was moving to high school, we were going to be a competitive team, or it is a competitive team, but you perform on just the mats with no additional help, which is significantly harder. And not only do you perform on the mats, but you also perform on the basketball courts. So we tried out on basketball courts, and that terrified the living hell out of me. And I never practiced before my tryout. Like, I didn't go to any basketball gym to go work on my tumbling. Maybe I should have, but that seemed mortifying, first of all. And second of all, I just don't think I had the confidence, so I just needed the adrenaline to use during my tryout, and whatever was gonna happen was gonna happen. I went into my tryout probably needing a lot of help with my tumbling in particular. Like, I had this weird hand that would go like this in my round offs when you're supposed to be, basically, if you pause a round off, you're in a handstand mid-movement. So I should have been just, you know, gorgeous form, perfect, but because I had like these messed up wrists and it would mess up my legs and everything, and it caused me a lot of these wrist problems. So I went into the tryouts with a wrist brace, which is so silly looking back. Like I looked like I broke my hand, and really it was just like I had bad form, therefore it was giving me a bad wrist. So it's my turn to tumble. I'm like in front of a panel of judges, and most of them are seniors that are graduating. And of course the coaches, the scary coaches. So I go do, I think I was just doing a round of back handspring, or maybe it was a standing handspring, and I slipped on my wristband. Like it caused me to like kind of like shuffle mid movement, and I still landed, but like I kind of slid, and the current captain like literally audibly laughed at me. Audibly laughed. I don't think she was a very nice person looking back. Like if I had some chutzpah, I probably would have been like, that's very inappropriate. Don't laugh. But of course I was like, meh, little mouse. That was freaking terrifying, and I hated every second of it. But actually in the gym, I feel like one of the more embarrassing things that has probably happened to me was when I was corrected by an ROTC coach at my university. I was working out at like 6 o'clock in the morning because I was, one, like wanting to get my workouts over with before the rest of the day, and two, I think I was so nervous because I just gotten into strength training and using weights, and I was too scared to show my face like later on in the day when more students would be there. So I would go super early in the morning when it was just like me and the ROTC team, and I was following this workout guide, and they had me doing skull crushers. And I don't know what I looked like that elicited such a strong response from this coach to come over and correct me mid-movement. Like I was literally laying down on the bench, barbell over my head, trying to perform this movement, and he came up and like grabbed my elbows to correct me. And I think a lot of people have really strong feelings about people correcting them. In that moment, I think I was not like mad, but just mortified that I must have been like either so horrible that he needed to come correct me, or that's just like what he thought his role was as a coach. I'm not sure. It didn't bother me like to be corrected, but I completely understand like if people just don't like that. But I think in the moment, all I was thinking was, who the heck saw him come over? Like, what did I look like? How bad was it that he had to stop whatever he was doing, look at me, come help my form? The only thing I can think of was like if he thought it was impacting my safety or something. I don't know. It still haunts me. You know, that's when you know it's like an embarrassing moment, when it's like still in the back of your noggin. Great question from the Fitness Food Fairy. Cute name. Are you planning to train at a gym or an online personal training with your NASM CPT? Love you. Love you too. I've actually been thinking about this so much lately. I did actually just get like a part-time job as a fitness instructor or a fitness coach at a gym, which is really cool. Not where I would have like my own clients or anything, but just helping with group fitness classes, which is one of those things that has felt like a dream of mine for forever, but I never thought like I was good enough or cool enough or fit enough to be in that position. So that feels like a humongo bucket list item, like ticked off my list. However, when it comes to actually utilizing my CPT myself, I think what I would love to do is to have the opportunity, if you were to ever be interested, to work in one-on-one coaching with anybody who might want it, who watches my videos or something. I think first and foremost, like my priority will always be creating content and doing YouTube, etc. But I think it would be a really neat market to dive into, and something that kind of terrifies me, but would be such an incredible way to actually make an impact. Like sometimes I'm just sitting here going, why do I do this? Why do I make videos? This is so silly. How do I spend my time doing this? Like, am I even helping anybody at all? And I feel like if I did one-on-one coaching, that would change that. Then I would know that I was actually using my time and my energy for the betterment of somebody else, and hopefully actually seeing that through. So it is definitely still a possibility at this point. I would have a lot of things to, get in line before that would even happen, but know that it is something I've definitely thought about and something I want to do. I would only probably take on like a handful of clients to start and see how it goes from there. That's exciting. That's like the first time I've talked about that out loud. From Emily, not a deep or a dark question, but college decisions are coming up for me. How did you decide Gonzaga? Great question. I would say to probably not follow my advice when it comes to choosing a college. I was so lost when I was choosing schools. I felt like I had no idea where I truly wanted to go. Even like locationally, I think like my parents wanted me to stay close by, like to maybe choose a school in California or San Diego or something. I applied to 11 or 12 schools in total, and I think 9 or 10 of them were all on the East Coast. Gonzaga and USD were the only 2 schools I applied to on the West Coast, and Gonzaga was the only school I visited. And I think if I would have taken more time to go visit other schools, I probably wouldn't have even ended up there, but everything happens for a reason, of course. I was just not sure on like what I wanted, and I don't think you have to be. I think I was just confused, and I was listening to my friends and like what they wanted to do, but it is such a personal decision, and however you make it, be that based on scholarships that you might receive or distance to home or academics, obviously, just make sure that you are happy with at least like 2 to 3 elements of the school. Like let's say you go to a school for, I don't know, their psychology program, but you also love the location and you also love like some of the extracurricular activities that they have. That is a really great plan, because let's just say something happens and you don't end up wanting to do psychology anymore. You still want to love the school, and you still want to know that there are other things there for you, and you're not just going there specifically for like one singular thing. But know also that if things aren't working out, transferring is 1000% a great thing to do. I had so many friends that transferred either in or out of Gonzaga and were very happy with their decisions. And I think it's wild to think that we're supposed to know what we want to do when we are 17, 18 years old. So don't give yourself such a hard time about it. Listen to your gut. I think that's usually what ends up working out best for most people. You might think that this is the right thing for you to do, but if your heart is telling you to go somewhere else, in my opinion, follow your heart. But you do you. Okay, this is a 3-part question from Sarah. Do you ever worry about how future you might look at the content that you currently make, since current you sees past you as cringy? Do you think a similar effect might happen, and do you think YouTube is a platform that allows for personal growth to happen? I think that is a perfect, like, circling back to the first question that I answered about any videos that I regret posting or making. First and foremost, yes, like for sure. I think I worry a lot, like down the line, that sometimes like my videos are kind of like silly and dorky and whatnot, and I think there are times when I'm like, should I be taking this in like a little bit more of a serious direction? Like, will I regret being so spunky online or whatever? But at the same time, I am showing you my authentic self. So if I was trying to be like all prim and proper, that wouldn't be me. So I don't think I would want that to begin with. I think it is human nature to look back at things and realize that maybe you don't have the same beliefs that you might have had before, or you've changed, or you've grown. And if you're not growing, then I think that is actually the real problem. Like, I would be lying if every single decision I've made since birth hasn't at one point made me look back and go, wow, that was cringy. But also at the time, like, that was probably what felt right. Like wearing my Paul Frank t-shirt. It's like, yeah, sure. Like, it's kind of dorky, but that's what I loved at the time. The last part of this question, do you think YouTube is a platform that allows for personal growth to happen? I 100% think it does, but I think it's up to you as a creator. I think your audience can tell when you are not being your authentic self. And the longer that like you hold up some sort of act, or you continue to try and make videos that just don't fit who you are anymore, people can start to see through that. I think constantly changing, like with your content and the types of things that you make, I think is a really good thing. And as your audience grows, like you want to grow with them. I think about somebody like Alicia Marie, for example. She started on YouTube making like kind of short, silly makeup videos. If I watch her videos now versus the ones that she was making like 10, 12 years ago, she's a completely different person. That is growth, case in point. And it is a huge testament to her as a creator that she's been able to navigate the space for this amount of time and continually change and adapt. I don't think everybody is successful at that, but I don't think that is necessarily YouTube as a platform's fault. Hannah asked for behind the scenes filming and how you consistently keep a healthy lifestyle. You want to see some behind the scenes? Here's all of the stuff that I was just filming with prior to making this video. Here's probably like a little bit of a messy entryway that I'm hiding, and Reese's tennis ball that she so kindly put there in the middle of this. Also a pile of some clean laundry that I need to fold, and there as well. That is some behind the scenes, y'all. With my actual content and planning that stuff out, I've always loved making like little calendars for the month. I used to just write it out in my notes app, and I would write down like the date and then what video I want to make on that day. But once I became an iPad girly, I started using Canva, and I would download like these little blank calendars, and then I would write in on them certain videos that I wanted to do, when I wanted to film them. And a lot of times I'll send this to Amanda, my editor, so she can know ahead of time like when things are going to be due, or when I constantly switch the dates with her because life happens. And then with like Instagram and TikTok and stuff, TikTok for real is like whatever the heck I can think of on the moment. And that's always fun and kind of sporadic in a good way, I think. I use TikTok kind of like I would use like Instagram stories, just like quick, easy, fun. And Instagram, I stress out about a lot, and I literally don't know why. I think I compare myself a lot on Instagram because I don't have like these really cute and clean aesthetic feeds and photos like so many of my peers do, but I just don't know how. And maybe you follow me because I don't know how, and that's okay too. The second part of this question was, how are you consistently keeping a healthy lifestyle? The honest truth is that I don't think it's that consistent, but I have learned over the years that I genuinely love moving my body, so I choose to seek out forms of movement that make me happy, that I enjoy the most. And also I've found like I just feel more energized when I cook a lot of meals for myself, or I actually like add a vegetable in here or there. And similarly, don't deny myself from my favorite foods, my pretzels, my ice creams, my alcohol, whatever it might be. This question's from Ashley. She said, are you still considering training for a marathon one day? The honest answer is I have no freaking idea. The minute I finished my half marathon, I think I was so dead set on like continuing. I thought, I've done this, I can do more. Like, I just know that I can. But I think I would have to be in a place in my life where I would want to be training that much. It truly became like a quarter-time job, not as much of a part-time job. If I was training for a full marathon, I think it would be equivalent to a part-time job where you are running for multiple hours every single week. But also on top of that, like when you're trying to build up your speed and your strength, you're still needing to go to the gym and strength train. I think I would just need to be in a really clear, good headspace. And right now I feel like there's so many things on my plate that I can't fathom adding something else on. And I also know I would want to go and do some really fun marathon. So I would have to travel for it. I would go to Hawaii or Florida, or I don't know, like the New York Marathon. There are so many incredible marathons. Even if you just Google them, like there's 12 more than you even thought of, 1,200 more. So I think I would want to like figure out a destination that makes me excited. I'd probably choose like a little bit of an easier course, and I'd train for, you know, a few months or so. I won't say yes or no, but know that I am currently not satisfied with just running a half. Are you gonna film more workout challenges in the future? I'm actually filming one as we speak. So yes, the only thing is with my workout challenges now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I don't wanna do anything that might come off as like a quick fix sort of challenge. So if I'm doing them, it's for me because I want to do it and because it makes me feel good, and it's probably over a longer duration of time. So it obviously just takes more time to film and actually complete on the other side of the coin. But that being said, please always like send me what challenges you want me to try, be that in the comments of this video, in the DMs, somewhere, because I want to still know like what you want from me. What do you want from me? What you want to see, what types of challenges you like, and also like what are the things that you're into now, because I feel like we have shifted so much from a lot of the challenges that I used to do. Like I barely know anybody who might be doing, let's say, Chloe Ting, for example, but 2 years ago, it was the entire internet. So you let me know. Okay, there's so many great questions, but your girl is starving. So I'm gonna go make myself some food. You let me know if there's any more questions that I didn't get to in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you very, very soon. Go follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I love you. And thank you all for your questions. I'll see you in the next one.